It is now 10:30. Here's what's happening. Do you recognize this car? Detectives hope it will lead them to a dangerous man they say is responsible for at least 3 sexual assaults. And a pleasant good Tuesday evening to everybody. Today is May 10th, 2022. This is Eyewitness News at 10:30, now streaming live on CBS News Philly. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm being filled in by my Uncle Yuki Washington and my Aunt Jessica Cartalia. So we get the latest news story to kick us off tonight. Is my favorite, of course, named Carrie Corrado. She has more on the news story. Carrie, good evening to you. Wow, that's quite a shocker. All right, thank you for the details there, Carrie. A crash involving a speeding SUV kills at least 3 people. The SUV was going more than 100 miles per hour as it slammed into the SEPTA station at K&A around 2:45 this morning. The driver, along with 2 other people, died outside of the station. A passenger in the SUV remains hospitalized. The station has now been reopened. No word on the identity as of late. And now to the latest on what went wrong, as police are still searching for the suspect after he made a pursuit from Northeast Philadelphia to Delaware County. With that being said, it's still under investigation until it's all said and done. Just stay with Eyewitness News for the continuing coverage on that shocking news story. Well, tonight, a Philadelphia neighborhood is remembering another victim of the gun violence crisis. Emmanuel was a former football player. He was on scholarship at Delaware Valley University. He was just 20 years old when his life was taken from him. Let's go to Jasmine Payute joining us live with that developing news story from Oxford Circle. Good evening, my sister Jasmine Payute.
Tuesday, loved ones of Emmanuel Sowell gathered at Max Myers Playground in his memory. The 20-year-old was a student athlete on a full scholarship at Delaware Valley University before he became a victim of gun violence.
The black man out in these streets doing that, he was not like that. You know, he went to college. He graduated high school. Honor student, great child, just loved everyone. And for someone to take his life, it just wasn't right.
Police say a gunman shot Sowell 5 times on the 500 block of East Cornwall Street just after midnight Saturday.
He was home from school. You know, he was receiving clothes home at his mother's house. He left her house at 11:45 that night. And then half an hour later, he was pronounced murdered.
Officers found him in his white car. 3 of those shots were to his chest.
His mother and his father and his siblings just want justice for him.
Before going off to college, Sowell played both basketball and football at Northeast High School. His childhood friend hoping to see where his talents would take him.
We really was waiting
Bureau joins at least 168 people to have been killed in the city so far this year. Anyone with information on this is asked to contact police.
That's just so scary to see things like that. Jasmine, thank you. Police in Liberty County, Georgia are telling their side of the story tonight in a controversial traffic stop involving the Delaware State University lacrosse team. Video from last month's stop shows a Liberty County sheriff warning the players that they were going to search luggage for drugs. The university called the incident racial profiling. The sheriff said the deputies did not know the race of the students as they stopped the bus for traveling in the wrong type of direction. To this very day, Philadelphia's gun violence increases from 723 to a new total of 724. And with that being said, my heart very hurts to this very day. Well, the sheriff confirmed nothing illegal was discovered during that search. The Delaware State University president says that the university is conducting its very own investigation into what happened. Inflation is hitting Americans big time. President Biden said his administration is working to bring families some sort of relief. Siafa Lewis, my uncle, has the latest on that news story. Good evening, Uncle Siafa.
Blame at the feet of the pandemic and Russia's war against Ukraine.
I want every American to know that I'm taking inflation very seriously, and it's my top domestic priority.
The president answered one reporter's question by insisting that he is working to make things better.
My plan is already in motion. I led the world and other countries to join with us to coordinate the largest release of oil from our stockpiles of all the countries in history. 240 million barrels to boost global supply.
While the president has released 1 million barrels of oil per day from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the U.S. is presently dealing with the highest prices at the pump ever, combined with increased prices at the grocery store while shopping for cars, home construction projects, and it feels like virtually everything else. It seems like Americans can't catch a break, and Republicans are pouncing.
Pointed his finger at everybody else other than himself, and the American people are sick and tired.
These democratic price hikes will likely be American families' new normal.
Now, most economists will tell you that inflation is a bipartisan issue. It's simple supply and demand. Both former President Trump and President Biden signed massive COVID-19 rescue packages into law to stimulate a shutdown economy. People were stuck at home and saved money, and as our country reopened, largely vaccinated, people looked to spend that money, driving up demand, which has not been able to be met on the supply side, driving prices up. So when you hear Republicans blaming Democrats for inflation, or Democrats hypothesize about a Republican-run Congress, remember this: 60% of the world's advanced economies are dealing with inflation above 5%, and more than half the developing world, it's over 7%.
Wow, that's some good piece of advice right there. Appreciate it, Uncle Siafa. Thanks very much. Former President Donald Trump can return to Twitter if he wants to. Elon Musk said he will restore the banned account on the platform if his $44 billion purchase goes through. He called Twitter's decision to ban Trump in early January 2020, despite the fact that he said all those bad things and whatnot. And now to the latest on the war in Ukraine here on this Tuesday evening. New developments explain that the top U.S. secretary and everybody else is having a stalemate. $40 billion is being added to a package for humanitarian aid and so many others, along with $7 billion in cash total. An attack on the port city of Odessa destroyed a shopping mall, killing at least over one civilian. Much more to come tonight on our broadcast here on the CW Philly. A shortage of baby formula across the country goes missing, and a Mother's Day mix-up that everybody's going to talk about for a long time. You can tell something was hidden inside, but you'll find out what it is when we return. And NASA is trying to slip into the DMs of aliens. Hear what the space agency intends to send to the stars. Stay with us. We're coming right back.